Hello, welcome to another edition of Trial by Magus, and this is a special one this is called the Skies of Albion, and very similar to other events of this nature that wargaming has run in the past in Warplanes. Here's how it works. You have a daily timer every day that counts down to the point that confrontation begins. Once this timer runs down, confrontation battles begin. And those are faction versus faction, Axis v Allies. So you choose which faction you're going to be a part of. Before the event begins, you'll be given an option with a pop-up screen to choose your team. Or if you don't log in prior to the event, you will be given a choice immediately upon logging in once the event is started. And when you choose that faction, let's say you've gone with the Allies, you then must use Allied aircraft, like the premium Spitfire Mark 1A here, in combat, in order to accrue experience, combat points, expertise points, whatever you want to call them, on a building scale. Now, when you reach several thresholds on that scale, very similar to how it works with crate earning in World of Warships, you reach the first marker, you get your first loot box unlocked here. You get to the second one, you get a second loot box unmarked, and then if you keep playing and you really crush it for the duration of the battle, you can get a third loot crate. Now, the total amount of victory points built up by both factions' players are totaled up over the course of the battle, and when the timer runs down and the event ends for the day, whichever faction gained the most points over the course of the several hours of combat for the confrontation is declared the winner for the day, and those players who chose the faction that won for that cycle get twice the number of loot crates that they had earned. So for every one you earn, you get an additional one gratis pro bono for free if your faction wins. And then when the next day rolls around, the confrontation begins anew, once again, with this timer up here, counting down towards the start time, and whichever faction won the previous day's confrontation match now has a handicap moving forward, and that handicap builds if that faction continues to win until the point that the handicap is so large that it cannot be overcome. So it would behoove you to have aircraft of both Allied and Axis factions in your hangar that you're knowledgeable with in order to use this event to the fullest, because you're not going to play the same faction every day unless you're just a complete fanatic for a particular series of planes or, whatever. If you want to make optimal use of the event, change your faction over the course of the day. Keep track of who won the previous day and what the expected amount of handicap is going to be going forward. Using that, you can make a pretty good guess as to who's going to be the ultimate victor in the coming days' confrontation battles. Now, for these battles, I'm not certain how they are going to be set up this time around. With the Conquest battle mode, because in every previous incarnation of the confrontation events in Warplanes, it was back in the straight-up PvP, 15 on 15, no capture points, just shoot everybody on the other enemy team down. So I think it'll be Conquest battles, but with all one faction on one side. So it'll be interesting this time around to see how things work and how teams that are composed entirely of German and Japanese aircraft versus American, British, and Russian aircraft, how those two factions interact as far as being able to maintain air supremacy and capture points. Frankly, in my opinion, I think that the Russian planes should be able to choose which side they're on. After all, they were with Germany until Operation Barbarossa. Airplanes that I would recommend for use in this battle. For the allies, I'm going to recommend the British planes if you want to play a defensive type play style, moving in to capture zones and then defend what you've held. Spitfires are excellent for that. If you're going to be more proactive and move around from point to point, American planes like P-40 or the P-38 would be good for that because of their higher speed, and they'll be able to get to other points of contention on your battle map pretty quickly. On the German side, you're going to want to go with your mainstays, your 109 models, heavy fighters. If you're at a tier that has bombers or serious attack aircraft that would be threats, heavy fighters are great for eliminating those. Basically, just go into these battles and fly them the way you would normally. Just do what you'd normally do. Just be aware of the restrictions on the planes that you fly, because once you've chosen a faction, if you fly the other faction's planes during that battle for confrontations, the points you make don't count towards anything. They don't help the enemy team, but they don't do anything for you. And once everything is done, you can find what you're looking for up here in the Skies of Albion window. This right here will be replaced by something else once the event has become active and is over for the day. So here's where you'll look for that. This is also where you'll look if you get any extra order things like this right here. See, special stuff popping up here. Get blueprints for the RB-17, 109TL, J8M Shusi. You can also get extra order missions to get the new British Hawker line aircraft of multi-role fighters, as well as a first look at some of the new German bombers. Overall, I'm looking forward to this event. I'm sad that I'm going to be taking a family trip here for the holidays, so I'm going to be missing out on a good portion of this. But I'm sure that you'll all have a great time with it. Welcome to Confrontation in Warplanes. This is Magus signing off. Good hunting.